Henry doesn't really travel very far from home. The furthest he travels is to York in 1541 to meet James V. He does go either in War and Peace to France. Certainly compared to his father Henry VII, he doesn't travel very much even within England. And compared, for example, to Francis I and Charles V, and indeed Suleiman, the Sultan of the Ottoman Turks, who really was the big sort of world conqueror of the time, Henry doesn't travel all that much even within his own dominions. It's all fairly confined into, I suppose, the sort of greater London metropolitan area and the Thames Valley, a bit in Essex and a bit to the south coast.
The royal progresses usually occurred in the summer, and this would have given Henry VIII the opportunity to see parts of his country, although quite limited sections. It would allow him to give his courtiers the opportunity to offer him hospitality. It allowed him to exploit new hunting resources and reserves. As he was such a keen hunter, his own resources would have been tapped into quite heavily, and so this would give him other opportunities.
But there are practical reasons why you have to travel if you're Henry. For one thing, palaces get so dirty while you and the court are living in them that you have to clean them out. So there's a practical reason for moving around. But there are also political reasons for going and meeting and greeting the important people who ran the English localities. There are enjoyable reasons as well for Henry. Henry's an enthusiastic hunter, and so he likes travelling around hunting in different people's parks. But meeting the local gentry, meeting the heads of religious houses before the dissolution of the monasteries, meeting the people who run English towns on their home turf, and being gracious to them, but also rather scaring them, was probably Henry's line. All of that is important to Henry.
But it was chiefly about the king having the opportunity to be seen in the home counties in particular, to give his courtiers an opportunity to provide him with hospitality and to ensure that the people could see their monarch in a way that they might not normally have an opportunity to do.
It is quite striking that Henry didn't travel as much as his father. Henry VII made it to Newcastle in the north, made it to Exeter in the west. He travelled through Wales on his way to the throne. Well, Henry VIII didn't make it to any of those places. Henry VIII, unlike his elder brother, Prince Arthur, he wasn't sent out to be a proper Prince of Wales. Prince Arthur had been sent to Ludlow, and he visited places like Shrewsbury and Chester, seeing what life was like a bit further away from London than Henry VIII ever got. But when Arthur died, Henry VII seems to have been too worried about Henry VIII's health. He wouldn't send him away. And so Henry VIII's experience of his kingdom seems to have been much more limited than Arthur's would have been, or than Henry VII's was. That's nicely brought out by a letter that he wrote to Margaret of Austria, the governor of the Netherlands, early in his reign, where he says, "I'm sorry it's taken me a while to answer your letters. I've been away hunting in the farthest part of my kingdom," and he was at Warwick Castle.
He's actually a London commuter for a good part of his reign, because in 1512 there's a fire at the palace at Westminster, leaving the king with no residence in the political capital of the kingdom. Instead, he has to live down the river at Greenwich and come up by barge whenever his presence is needed, or more usually people go to him at Greenwich. And it's only after Wolsey's fall and Henry's taking over York Place that he has a London residence. So in that sense, he has to commute up and down the river. He also travels around quite a bit in winter in his many houses in the Thames Valley.
He doesn't seem to have seen the necessity to go and see other parts of his kingdom. Maybe, in a sense, that was right. So, for example, historians of Ireland would say, what a neglectful king of Ireland. He never went to Ireland. He never put much effort into governing Ireland. And that's true. On the other hand, if you think from Henry's point of view, what the dangers are in crossing the Irish Sea, going to visit Ireland, leaving England behind you, possibly going to rebel, possibly undefended against foreign invasion, then that equation starts to look slightly different. And if you think also, if Henry's major ambition was to make a big splash in European politics, then the people he needs to spend most of the time with are the people who pay most of his taxes, raise most of his armies, and those are the people in the south, the Midlands, the southwest, East Anglia, exactly the areas that he concentrates on.